Hey there, folks. We understand starting a board game collection is no easy task.
There's so many choices that are out there. It can be really, really overwhelming when you go into a game store and you're looking at the shelves and you're like, what do I get? Everything looks cool.
Exactly. So we are here to tell you our top 5 board games to start your collection. Jeff is going to be tackling this from the approach of someone who's newer to the hobby, doesn't really play with that many people, and is just kind of starting a game group. And I'm going to be coming at the problem from, you have a bunch of friends who play board games. You've finally decided to start your own collection. You might be a little more seasoned. And we're not repeating anything from our past videos. So that video we just made, titled Top 5 Board Games Under $50, not using any of those, even though they're all fantastic. You should watch that video.
Each and every one of them could have gone into this collection.
Oh, absolutely. Right? Anyway, this is Shits and Cardboard. I'm John.
I'm Jeff.
We'll catch you in a second. Okay, so before we get into it, I just want to say we ravaged our shelves and pondered very attentively and vigorously to try to get you a list that was not only an actual good list for a collection, but was unique and was diverse enough in game types that if you were to buy all 10 of these games, your collection would just be an absolute banger.
Yeah, you'll have a little bit of everything.
Yeah. So if you enjoy the video, like and subscribe. Comment below if you agree or disagree with us, and we're about to get into it. Jeffrey, your number 5.
Okay, so my number 5 is a really good RPG, super highly rated on BGG. A lot of people know of it, but this is the smaller version, Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion.
It's a great pick.
I couldn't believe that I actually own this, but I got it as a gift. This is John's copy. But it's under $50. There's so much content in this game. Basically, if you're not familiar with it, Gloomhaven is kind of a little bit like playing D&D without having to have a DM or a GM, which is really, really good. All of your movements and everything that you do in different scenarios and skirmishes are done by cards. Every character is super unique. It's got tons of fun. It's a campaign game. It's my campaign game for this list. Yeah, it's awesome. You're going to get hours and hours and hours of play out of this, and everybody I've talked to who's played through the entire campaign for both the larger main Gloomhaven box as well as Jaws of the Lion, everybody's loved it. Absolutely loved it. So yeah, so that's my number 5. Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion.
Yeah, that's just, again, as you said, ridiculous value for price. So
oh, it's insane.
Could have been in our top 5 under 50 for sure.
Yeah, I'm surprised we didn't put him there.
Yeah. Anyway.
Right. Your number 5.
My number 5 is the only hidden role, one versus many hidden movement game on the list. It is a newer game. It's amazing. It's like basically one player is the beast who secretly moves around the board, causing mischief, and the other players are the hunters.
Yes.
The game has a cool action card drafting type mechanic where basically you draft cards around before you play around.
Yep.
And the beast might want to take cards away from the hunters or take cards that are good for the beast.
Yep.
The beast mechanics are basically along the lines of anytime you kill something, you show yourself, or attack something, you show yourself. Otherwise, you're hidden and moving around. The hunters are trying to catch you and basically, seek you out and hunt you down and gun you to the ground. But yeah, that is Beast.
Game.
Beast comes in, I think, around $65, and
it's around that price point.
Infinite fun. It plays good at, I would say, 2 or 3 players. At 4, it gets a little bit wonky, but I think 2 or 3 is probably ideal. And
you can play up to 4 and still have a lot of fun, though.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my number 5.
Great pick. Absolutely great pick.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, number 4s. John, would you like to start us off?
Yeah. My number 4 is a CMON game, which I'm usually not the largest fan of, I'll be fully honest. It is an Eric M. Lang design, one of his big 3, and it is Ankh. Now, I personally think this game could have been produced in a box like a quarter this size and still been the exact same game, effectively. But look, Ankh is a fantastic area control, area majority game. It really plays more like chess than say an area majority, area control game. Basically, you are playing as one of the gods of Egypt with your various followers, trying to build up sacred temples and pyramids and that kind of stuff, and gain influence in Egypt, gain followers, so on and so forth.
Yep.
The more effectively you deploy your influence, I guess I'd call it, in various zones, the stronger you are, winning combats in those zones, gaining points. The first person to hit the ends of the point track wins. That's basically it. It's fantastic. I can't recommend this enough. I think it plays great at 1, 2, 3, or 4. It is the only game on this list that is area control, really, and it's also the only game that has a catch-up mechanic, where the last place player in a game of more than 2 players merges with the second last place player. They create like a new player and then play together all the way up, and that player gets 2 actions every turn for the rest of the game, basically, because they both go. Nice. So yeah, that's cool. Or double the actions, I should say. But yeah, super cool. That is Ankh.
That's a good pick. I've looked into that game a decent amount. I've been really excited to actually try it.
Oh, we could play it right after we film this.
I'm very down for that. We should absolutely do that.
Yeah, anyway, Jeffrey, to your number 4.
All right, my number 4 is an abstract strategy game, Onitama. So, little box, packs a punch though. Both figuratively and literally. So basically, Onitama kind of plays, the best way to think about it is probably like a little bit like chess. Sure. But rather than each of your pieces having their own move sets, all of your pieces function essentially the same, but you're playing off of different cards that you swap out throughout the game. So at the beginning of the game, you're dealt 2 different cards which have 2 different movements. So it's like you might move kind of like the knight in chess, where you move in kind of like an L shape, either forward or backwards, and you can pick where you want to go on that spot.
With any piece.
With any piece, or it might be like, I think it might be the crane or something like that, crane style, where all the places that you can go are like in a W shape. Sure. You're trying to kill your opponent's master, or basically take his like seat or throne. Yeah, it's really, really cool. You're swapping out with your opponent. Every time you make a move, you're swapping out the different moves that you have available to you. There's 5 total in the game. You're going to get to use your opponent's. They're going to get to use yours. There's one in the middle at all times. It's really cool. It's a lot of fun. It's only a 2-player game, but I like those a lot. I like that, like, versus the other person and everything, right? Abstract strategy games are like 100% up my alley.
I'm not as thrilled about this style of game, but Onitama is like, in my opinion, the best of this style of game.
Yeah,
it's up there with like what's the other one? Mythic Mischief is really good too from IB Studios. This is right up there with it. So great pick. Yeah, can't argue that. Yeah. Anyway,
Onitama, awesome.
Number 4. Good job.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jeffrey, number 3.
Number 3. Okay.
Midway point.
So this is my engine builder for the, and kind of tableau builder as well for the list. So it is Earth. This is a great game. Engine builders are not exactly my jam. I do enjoy them, but it's not something that like I totally go into. Right. I'm a little bit of a kind of like, you know how there's Ameritrash and everything. So I'm a bit of a Eurotrash player. I like a little bit of like randomness, and also a little bit of like, you know exactly what's going on, you know what's on the board and everything. But anyways, Earth, great game. Basically what you're doing is you are building out an ecosystem, planting a bunch of different plants. You are trying to make them grow. You're adding water to them. You're adding compost and soil to your ecosystem. You're scoring points in all kinds of different ways. This is an easy teach. It's a lot of fun. There's like how many different combinations you can have, like 5,000
so much
setups or something like that. This is a game that also comes in right around the $50 mark, I think.
I think it's like 60.
Maybe 60, yeah. It has so much variability, so much replayability. The way when you make your move, everybody else can also make a move. There's no downtime in the game at all, so you're not sitting there waiting for somebody to decide what they're going to do on their turn. Your moves cascade with all of your different cards, so whenever you take this action, this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens. Like, it's just a lot of fun. Everything's beautiful in it, and yeah, it's an awesome game.
Yeah, we actually just made a review video on Earth, if you'd like to check it out. The link will be in the description, and you'll probably be able to see it on a tile at the end of this video. Great pick, though.
Yeah, thank you.
Big fan of that one.
All right, so John, what is your number 3?
My number 3 is, even though it's weightier, it's another game that could have gone into our top 5 under 50.
Definitely.
It is like a area majority. You're using worker placement to dictate action selection, but you have a lot of workers. So the workers aren't really it's not really a worker placement game. It's an area majority game.
Yeah.
It is Hansa Teutonica, specifically the big box. So the big box comes with a whole bunch of maps. The game is quite simple. You have one of a subset of actions you could take every turn, whether it's put a cube out, move cubes around, recruit cubes, so on and so forth. The goal in Hansa Teutonica is really just to earn the most victory points. It's one of those games. The process upon which you do so is basically all the locations on the map are little squares. The squares are a route. When you complete a route, you get to do either the action at the end of a route or control a location at the end of a route. So it's really just an area control in terms of like controlling locations, or action selection in terms of completing routes to do the action kind of game. Comes in under $50. Just so much value there for what it is, and I think it's a must-have in a collection. So that's my pick.
Good pick.
Hansa Teutonica.
Okay, John. We're down
Yes,
to number
sir.
2.
We are.
What do you have for the lovely audience?
My number 2 is probably the most popular game on either of our lists.
Yeah, probably. I'd say so.
It is a game based on IP. It's a worker placement deck building game, and if that doesn't already tell you enough to know what it is Dune Imperium.
Excellent game.
This is explicitly here because you can't have a top 5 games you need in your collection list without having Dune Imperium somewhere in it. It's that commanding of a game.
It's really good.
If you're not familiar, it's like a worker placement, area control, deck building game. It has this really cool mechanic where like the cards in your deck dictate the locations your workers can be placed.
Yep.
And you're basically fighting for influence in Arrakis, the world of the Dune universe. I think even without the Dune IP, this game stands on its own.
Oh, absolutely.
Massively. You could have wrapped this in any wrapper. It would have been amazing.
It doesn't matter whether people are fans of the series or the movies or not. Like,
Exactly.
yeah.
There is the new Dune game Uprising coming out soon. That is like a cooperative slash a standalone slash expansion of this game. We're really looking forward to it. But whether you buy that one or you buy this one, Dune Imperium is just an absolute must-have in any collection.
Fantastic game.
Yeah, and that's my number 2.
Nice. Great.
Yeah.
Great pick.
So, Jeff, number 2.
Okay, so my number 2 is a game that I played for the first time somewhat recently. It's by the same game developer as one of our favorite games, Scout. Scout is fantastic. It's been out of stock everywhere for
I have
for a
5
while.
copies of it sitting on that shelf.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, I've been wanting a copy for myself. I've only been able to play it over here, so I want to show it to some other people. But my number 2 by the same company is Startups. Startups is really, really good. It's a fantastic little game. So essentially what you're trying to do is there's 6 different startup companies, and you're trying to gain the most shares in those companies. You have a stack of cards in the middle in the main deck, as well as a market that forms as people play around it. So you're trying to get a hand and cards played. So you do have the majority at the end of the game. So then everybody who has shares in that company that you have the majority of have to pay you a bunch of money, and you earn a ton of points. It's fast, it's cheap, it's very replayable. Startups. It's fantastic. It's really, really, really fun game.
Good.
I love.
So good.
It's
it plays at
fantastic.
like what? I think it's like 3 to 7, probably best around 5. It's just a lot of players can play this. If you ever have a lot of people that show up to game night. I don't know. I love Startups too. It's a good call. Great pick.
Really good game.
No arguments for me.
Give it a shot.
Okay, so Jeff, you are starting a collection from nothing.
Yes.
This is the first game you're picking up.
Okay, so as a little caveat here, just get the core game. Like this is the version with the expansions. It's the big box, but you just need the core game.
Yeah.
The expansions are fantastic. I do encourage people to try those out because they just add to the game excellently. But yeah, without further ado, my number 1 is Moonrakers.
So good.
This is a fantastic game. It is a deck builder and negotiation game at its core. It's tons of fun. Essentially what you're trying to do is you're trying to get to 10 victory points before your opponents. You do that by negotiating and doing missions, and you complete those missions by playing a certain amount of cards. So you have cards like shields, reactors, guns or weapons, thrusters, and each mission has a certain requirement of each of those cards that you need to play. But in your hand, you only have a certain number of those cards. You're cycling through your deck as you build it and as you play each, try and complete each mission. But you can't do that alone. So you need other people in the game. That's where the negotiation part comes in, to actually help you out to complete those missions. So you're debating whether, okay, I'm going to take all the credits for this, but you can have like one of the victory points if you help me out. Because I need that money to get this ship upgrade, which allows you to get more cards and do extra things. Or you want to add crew members, which are kind of like special cards that you add to your deck. We've played this game a ton. And honestly, it's been probably one of the best like repeat experiences that I've had. So. There's tons of replayability in this. It looks fantastic. It kind of has like an old school video game, like kind of like late 80s, early 90s.
The art style is very awesome.
It's really, really cool. It's a fantastic game. And yeah, that's my number one, Moonrakers.
It's a good pick.
It's awesome. If you haven't tried it, seriously give it a shot.
It's definitely worth a shot.
Yeah, it's an amazing addition to anyone's collection. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right.
Good pick.
John, what is your number one?
My number one is a heavier game in general than probably most of the ones I've listed, except maybe Dune Imperium.
Yeah.
It's like kind of like a worker placement, kind of like a tableau building area control game.
Yep.
It is about to be arguably superseded by another game that comes up next year, which will be replacing this, and if it does, I'll let you know. But for the time being, this is one of my favorite games of all time, and it is Dwellings of Eldervale.
Fantastic game.
This game is designed by Luke Laurie, who's, by the way, a phenomenal person. If you ever have a question about his game and you message him on Facebook, he'll probably answer you. Like, he's that type of dude. This is a real passion project for him. And this game is just amazing. It's like
It's really good.
Effectively, you're in this, like, fantasy realm type deal. You are placing workers in this fantasy realm, either acquiring resources or visiting ruins. Ruins allow you to do various actions, kind of like worker placement.
Yep.
The puzzle of this one, though, and what makes it different from just a straight worker placement, is once you've placed a worker, you're limited on where else you can place workers relative to the first worker. It's also kind of like a tableau building game because you're visiting a dungeon every now and then and acquiring cards in your tableau, which when you recall your workers from being placed, you can place your workers onto to do various things. The game looks great. It plays great. The insert's great. It's just super deluxe. The box is maybe a little too big, but otherwise just absolutely fantastic.
It is a giant box.
Dwellings of Eldervale. I think this plays great. This is number one because it plays great at any player count.
Yes, it does.
2 to 5 is just a fantastic game.
Yeah.
Even the solo play in this game is probably one of the best I've played.
I'd like to try that.
But yeah, that's Dwellings of Eldervale.
Great number one. Great number one pick.
And hey, that wraps up our list.
Yeah.
I mean, look, if you were to buy all 10 of these games, think about the collection you got. You got Ankh, Dune Imperium, Moonrakers, Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion, Startups. Everything from a party game to Dune Imperium. Like, you're killing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, that's basically it from us.
Yeah.
If you liked the video, like and subscribe. Comment below if you agree or disagree with us. Love or hate our picks.
What do you think are really good things that we didn't talk about? What are some really good things to add to your collection?
Absolutely.
What are your games for it?
If you want, you can catch our Earth review there, behind Jeff's head. You can catch our top 50 under 50 there, top 5 under 50 there. And we'll catch you next time. See you.
Thanks, everybody.